May 2018 horoscopes with me, Lada from astrolada.com. And as you know, the big event in May 2018 is that Uranus, the planet of big revolutionary changes, is moving into a new sign. We're going to speak about that, but mentioning Uranus, we're making a webinar with April on the 6th of May, which is 20% off if you order now, about Uranus changing signs and how it's going to affect you personally. And everyone who participates will be able to receive an email from us with a description of how Uranus will affect them personally, so they don't need to know any astrology and watch this part of the webinar that's most relevant for them. Take your seat on the webinar now when it's 20% off. And also, Levi is making a Vedic astrology foundational webinar for Western astrologers, so you'll be able to incorporate the most relevant, the most easy, but at the same time most productive Vedic astrology techniques into your Western astrology practice. It's a 4-week workshop for $160 only, starting at the beginning of May, on the 5th of May, so check out that webinar as well. And at the end of May, I'm starting my foundational course all about the 12 houses, which is 50% off if you get it now. Again, sorry, not 50%, $50 off, and it's gonna last for 6 months. Check out all those classes. Sagittarius, May 2018. Okay, let's start with prediction for the next 7 years. Uranus is changing signs in your 6th house, Sagittarius. It's moving from your 5th house to your 6th house, and it's going to stay there till 2026. Wow. You know, and it's not going to happen immediately. You know, it's a very slowly moving planet, Uranus. But I want to prepare you. So this is actually a prediction that will be active from now to sometime till 2028. Not all the time. It depends on your specific horoscope. Basically, if your ascendant is a 25 degrees Sagittarius, your 6th house cusp might be at 27 degrees, you know, in Taurus. So you might experience what I'm talking about towards 2024 or 25, you know, it's just so you're prepared and you know what to expect. And plus, you know, the moment Uranus changes its sign position, you'd get an indication of what's to come. Maybe like ideas in your head, not necessarily the events will happen, but like feeling in you, especially more intuitive people of you, because when a planet changes signs, the kind of the imprint and the insights start flowing inside, so to speak, and start flowing, so you can tap into what's to come. So watch out maybe for signs in May, when Uranus is changing signs, how it will impact you for years ahead. So let's quickly mention, when Uranus goes into the 6th house, what you can expect at sometimes in the next 6-7 years, maybe for some of you already from May. Well, Uranus is the planet of radical changes. Radical changes in your work. Uranus rules being freelancer, independent, is the planet of independence. And putting your individual stamp, well, you can put over the next 7-8 years your individual stamp on your work. Say, and 6th house is our routines. So if you've been in some routine work till now, Uranus moves into your 6th house, you're gonna get restless. Uranus is high energy. You might find it impossible to do 9 to 6 jobs. And I'm not saying that all Sagittarius rising or Sagittarius sun people will suddenly become freelancers, but a big part of you will feel to be that you need more freedom in your work, you need more freedom in your routine, so you need a big change in your routines or in your work environment. And sometimes I've seen it play out in very different ways. For example, someone had Uranus transit their 6th house, and the company said that they're moving from, they're gonna introduce new softwares into the company, and they've been working in that company for 15 years, doing the job always in the same way, and all of a sudden they had to totally changed how they do their job. From doing it manually, they all had to start using a software. So Uranus is about new technologies, innovation. So something might be getting innovated in your work environment, or if it's your own business, you might be introducing some new software to it, or new ideas, restructuring of the routines of the business sometime over the next 7 years. So you will have to be flexible and open to change when it comes to your work environment. When it comes to changes will be happening very fast with your workmates. Maybe a lot of people that you work with will be coming and going and living. Maybe you'll be changing your job quite a few times. For example, when Uranus transits the 6th house cusp exactly, that's about 1 year, not the whole 7 years, don't worry. You might change 3 or 4 times a job, you know. Or if you work in a Uranus career, your job can suddenly have a rise, you know. And what is like Uranus careers and jobs? Well, if you work with IT, if you work in astrology, if you work in something cutting new technologies with social media of some sort, if you work with something alternative and different, if you work with any technologies, anything electronic, anything that requires waves of some sort, or higher knowledge, just like astrology is, well, then you can have such a sudden invigorating rise in your career, and you kind of will be bored with a repetitive job. You need something excited when Uranus goes into a 6th house in regards to your career, in regards to your work, and also with your personal daily habits. You might totally revolutionize your daily habits from the diet that you have. 6th house rules our health. How do we maintain our health? So you can suddenly, some of you can awaken to a totally new way of living in regards to your health and how you treat your body. You can read a book that revolutionizes your mind. Maybe you've read 100 books till now on health, but they didn't make an impact on you. Well, when Uranus enters your 6th house, it kind of awakens you to, for those, something in regards to your health, to your routines, something to finally click and make sense to you, and you awaken to that, and you awaken to grabbing this new opportunity. So in regards to health, there might be some revolutionary breakthrough in regards to a health matter that you've been struggling for some time as well in the next few years. Some of you, it might come immediately, you know, from May. And that you find out some knowledge, information that helps you very fast solve that health problem. And usually it's connected to some kind of exercise that you have to do, some health routine and regime and lifestyle change. 6th house is our lifestyle, our daily routines, you know, what we eat, how we walk, our exercise, the environment around us, whether it's toxic or no. So expect radical changes to happen there. Maybe you can become vegan. Uranus is radicalizing your health style. Or maybe you never worked out, all of a sudden you start working out. Wow, you know. Or maybe some of you always had some health issue. It can be suddenly solved now. But on the negative side, just to warn you, it can also, Uranus can indicate that sudden, unexpected health problems can arise as well. And that's only because it wants to push you into introducing some radical change into your daily routines and habits and what you eat. And but if something, because Uranus is disruptive, you know, if some disruptive health issue appears, start, you know, reading alternative foods, how to change your health, how to work out or something like that, you know, because this thing, Uranus, can help you find the solution very fast as well. The solution to some health problems and anything like that. And also, usually health problems that can appear when Uranus is in the 6th house can be related to Uranian matters, which is to the nervous system in some way, to nervous conditions, because Uranus rules all interconnected systems, big networks like the brain, like the skin as well, you know. But I don't want to, you know, Taurus is here in your 6th house for most Sagittarius. It might be something to do with the digestive system or whatever, but doesn't matter. I don't want to scare you. Actually, I want to inspire you that you can find sudden solutions to matters connected to your health, even if it starts in some disruptive way. Sudden shifts in your career, in the directions of your work, becoming free in some way, or having less stability initially in your work, but which leads you to finding something that's more authentic and true to yourself, that is more real kind of work that you're meant to have, because Uranus is about truth and finding your truth. It can be destabilizing initially, but it also is about renewing and giving you new skills at your work as well, teaching you to do your work in much better way or productive ways, and especially incorporating new technologies or new innovative methods. Maybe if you're a doctor, you can discover some new method of healing, new scientific machine that you start using, or whatever, depending whatever career it is. Uranus can act in certain ways, but it's about innovation, introducing new techniques, new routines and things like that. So very exciting, and sixth house is death, so Uranus can bring sudden release very suddenly out of some death situation that you might have. Again, for me to be able to tell when exactly this will happen, we need to know your specific chart, your specific horoscope. And of course, if you take the webinar with me in April, we'll give specific indications when Uranus triggers your horoscope exactly. Sixth house is also the house of, well, I think we mentioned everything. I'm not going to take too long on that. Let's focus on May in specific, because that was a much longer prediction. It can take for quite a few years, but you can start feeling what's happening earlier. Well, specifically in May, there will be Jupiter in your 12th house trine Neptune. The whole month, this aspect, it's here between Jupiter and Neptune, is active the whole May almost, specifically for 2 weeks in the middle approximately. So this is a very beneficial aspect. It's a rare one. It happens once every few years. And it's about receiving some healing. The 12th and the 4th houses is definitely connected to the emotional world, to pains that we have buried from childhood memories. 12th house, they're both psychological, emotional houses. 12th house rules the memories from past lifetimes. 4th house rules your early life memories. And often we've buried all of those, we've forgotten them. They're both hidden houses. And both Jupiter and Neptune are very healing planets. Neptune is divine blessings, divine healing. Jupiter is divine wisdom and opportunities. And they are making a gentle trine aspect. So something comes to you, some kind of deep emotional healing can happen from some wound from childhood, from some wound from past lifetimes as well. So pay attention. You don't have to pay attention to just come to heal you in some way. It can be just a feeling of release emotionally. Even without realizing what you're being released from, you can feel like you're being washed from something, from some emotional state that might have created a sense of doom and gloom or weakness in you, and you feel like almost like you've taken a happy pill in some way. The 12th house and 4th house is about exploring the past as well. So you can, if you have a psychologist or therapist, this can be extremely insightful months of healing again through some therapy of some sort. It might be past life regression therapy, or it might be just going to the past in some way. 4th and 12th house is very much connected to the past. Can release you emotionally from something, can help you in some way. The 12th and 4th house is also connected to secrets. Maybe some secret can come out that you've forgotten about your family or about your past. That releases you again. That heals you in some way as well. On another level, how it can play out, they're very occult houses. They're very intuitive houses, in both Neptune and Neptune and Jupiter, extremely intuitive planets. So it means that your intuition will be tuned up to the highest possible way, So you might receive in your dreams 12th house insights about how to achieve happiness. 4th house rules our emotional happiness. You can receive insights about, even not if it's not in your dreams, like you can just know things. You can almost feel like if someone is lying to you or if someone is misleading you, your intuition is just so strong. If I'm someone that I never trust my intuition, because whenever I fear or dread or have intuition for something, it never turns out that way. You know, I prefer to stick to astrology, because it's not reliant on intuition so much, it's more mathematical. But when you're having, guys, the 4th and the 12th house triggered this month by such powerful intuitive planets, I would trust that gut feeling, and I would know that what I'm feeling is the right one. On the material level, what is happening is that the 4th house is property, place of living. 12th house is, with Jupiter there, is your good karma. Jupiter is the good deeds we do. 12th house is things from the past, from past lifetimes. So maybe something good can come to your family, to your personal life, to your property. Maybe some help can come to you from your family because of good actions you've done in the past. Maybe some hidden support, 12 houses hidden, can come to you to help your family or personal life, to help your mom, or you can receive some help from your family in regards to solving some past situation in yourself. It's again this healing influence, but it comes from close people. Hidden support as well can come in regards to some emotional issue you have in your life. Let's see how it can play out in another way. 12 houses materially is long-term investments, because 12 house is the house of losses, and when we make a long-term investment, it feels like a loss. You know, 12 house, the house of spending, but it's actually, with Jupiter now trine Neptune. Jupiter is very good luck. Neptune is in the 4th house of property. It might be one of the best times to invest in property, to sell or to do something with property. That will not pay off automatically. It can pay off in the long term, because it can feel like you're putting money in something that you're not getting back now, but it will pay off into the future. So it's a good time to do such a thing. It will have a good long-term investment value for you. You know, whether it's you buy property now or sell or upgrade something with your property, this will pay off well. It will be a good investment. And 4th house in Vedic astrology is vehicle, so something that long-term investment with a vehicle or something like that can be a good idea. What else is it? 12th house is research, deep research, doing something behind the scenes. It can be just having good time, pleasant time, and relaxing time with family. It can be about healing something, some issue that was from the past, that was buried, in regards to your family as well, in regards to your personal life. Okay, so there are other ways we can interpret that, but like I can't think of it now. 12th house is the house of imagination. Jupiter there trine to Neptune. Your imagination again and intuition can be on fire, especially about your personal life. 4th house. Okay, and another thing is happening is that we're having retrograde, the Mars going in its shadow period in your 2nd and 3rd houses. It's in May. It's going to be first in your 2nd house in Capricorn, and then in Aquarius in the 2nd part of May. It's shadow period. What does it mean? Shadow period is just the degrees that Mars passes before it stops in the sky and starts moving retrograde over those same degrees. And in May and June, Mars is in that shadow period. Towards the end of June, it starts turning retrograde till the end of August almost. So July and August, it will be in its retrograde period. And then from the end of August, it turns direct again. So Mars will pass over those same degrees in your 2nd and 3rd houses 3 times, which means you're going to be putting lots in the next 5 months, 6 months almost exclusively your energy will be focused on those 2 areas of your life. If Sagittarius is your ascendant mostly. Sun and Moon to a lesser degree, but again, pay attention to that as well. Which means that now in May, the setup will be created for what you'll be dealing with for the next 5 months after that. What you'll be putting so much energy. Mars is the planet of energy, solving problems, fixing conflicts, fighting for something. So, let me give you an example. That's probably, I don't want to scare you, but when Mars was going direct in the shadow period for my ex-husband, this is when someone stole his phone and made a bill for $17,000 in a few hours. And when Mars turns retrograde, his company said you have to pay that money. So for the next 2 months while Mars was retrograde, he was fighting that the company pays for that because it's a company phone, and that the company had no limit on the phone. So there was like, he was fighting all the time in regards to his second house, money, resources, possession. It was stressful, but Mars requires some fight, requires you to be, to strategize, to plan when it goes retrograde, to fix some problem. But eventually the company accepted it and they paid the bill. So he didn't have to pay that money. And Mars, that's when Mars turned direct again. So he solved that problem. That's a really bad example because it will scare the shit out of you, But there are other better examples. Second house is as well connected to maybe some new financial idea or plan comes into your mind now, that you have to put a lot of efforts, and that you have to, because in May and June, as I said, is the setup for it. You are going to see those new things forming. So maybe some new plan that requires, in regards for you to up your finances, second house, your assets, anything to do with investment, with assets, with resources, that starts becoming a priority or comes an idea as new developments. And then when Mars goes retrograde again, you might have to work extra hard there to complete that project, put a lot of energy, and to fix, something. And when it goes direct, you might end up by the end of the direct period with way more money, and way more assets and resources. So you might have won some battle that gives you a lot more resources. It's just that the retrograde period in July and August is more frustrating because you're fighting for something, or you're putting a lot of energy in something. It's more stressful, and by the end of the period you end up with a much better situation if you did the right efforts, if you didn't blow off and did crazy stuff, the upset Mars. So some new setup is coming up in regards to money, financial situations, which might feel like your financial situation is destabilized after Mars turns retrograde in July, August, but it might lead to a much better situation again. But I would advise you again not to be too reckless with resources and finances overall, even in the shadow period. The stage is being set up for something, because if you're too reckless, when it goes retrograde, you'll have a big mess to come out of and to fix. If you're more careful, you might actually set yourself up for just working harder during the retrograde period, so you come out with a lot more financial stability by the end of this retrograde Mars. But at the same time, Mars is going to be retrograde, is going to be in its shadow period in May, also in your third house, actually mostly in your third house, so don't worry so much about your money, Sagittarius. But the third house is about important developments that will start forming up with people connected to a third house, with siblings, with relatives. Whoops. Talking about that, siblings, and my brother is calling. But siblings and relatives, with co-mates, workmates, teammates, maybe some important project that you'll be working with workmates on in small group environments that is starting up now in May and June, and then you have to put a lot more energy or solve some problem there with those people, or in the life of those people some problems or some fight that happens there that you have to fight and solve it in some way. Third house, though, it's great for Mars to go retrograde in and to have its shadow period. Third house is the house that Mars loves to be retrograde in. Why is that? Because third house is where we learn new skills, and Mars is like a soldier who is willing to be very disciplined and work hard on acquiring those new skills. So maybe you'll see in May now that you're maybe they will be connected. You want to make more money, you start on some new work, money, idea, but you need to develop new skills from it. So you start to think, okay, I need to learn all those difficult skills. And when Mars goes retrograde, you're doing all that. You're delving deeper into those new skills. Or, third house is commercial and business activities. So yes, second house is you have a money idea, and then you have to go into commercial business activity, work your ass off there, and put a lot of energy into it, fix our problems, while Mars is retrograde. But the setup again is happening in May for that. Third house is also connected to education. Maybe you might have to invest some money in education, learning new skills. Again, as I said, third house is also connected to writing, speaking. Be careful when Mars is in the shadow period, that you don't upset people with your words, because when it goes retrograde, you'll have to deal with that and you'll have to solve that, you know. Or you might have to have some verbal fight with someone that you can win, hopefully, by the end of that period. But May again is the setup stage. Or you might be starting some project connected to writing, to speaking, to communication, to internet, to social media, third house rules, all those things, you know, that you have to put energy in. And work extra hard and solve some problems in there, and which can even impact your financial situation. So May is the period for the setup of that will give you an inkling what you'll be doing for the next 5-6 months. So thank you so much. And documents and papers are again the third house, so you can watch out for those things as well. And there can be a lot of, and travels, there can be a lot of activities around traveling as well for the next 5-6 months after that, which is again being set up in May. Thank you, Sagittarius, and I will see you next month. And hopefully you will have this healing that Jupiter and Neptune are bringing for you in the 12th and 4th house. You'll feel emotionally more healed in some way.